Hello and welcome to part 2 of me painting. As you can see, I didn't get anything done this week. Unfortunately, life took over. As some of you may be aware, we also have a flock of sheep which we run, and they've kept me extremely busy this week, as well as the shop. We've had plenty of orders, which is, not me bragging, but we're very grateful for the support, especially as being newcomers to the party. And so we're just very grateful for your support. So if you have purchased anything, thank you very much. If you haven't or didn't even know we had a website, go to wargames.co.uk and check out everything we've got, including these bolt action figures. Right, let's crack on with some painting. I have touched up a few areas. As you can see, it's not as messy. I've kept some of the, as you can see, where I painted it khaki before instead of the correct colour for the uniform. I've actually not gone over that too much because I kind of want it to look a little bit distressed. We'll see how it goes. Once we start getting the washes on and stuff like that, we'll be able to see whether it's okay. But for someone that doesn't paint professionally, I am pretty happy with that. So today, what we're going to go through is painting the helmet, the weapon and the flesh, boots, and hopefully get onto some basing. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so for the helmet, we're going to use the Russian uniform. It's the darker one of the two, so we'll see how this goes. It's the first time I've used it. Might need a bit more on there. So yeah, so I hope everyone else had a good week. I'd imagine with the warm weather, some of you have enjoyed it, some of you hated it. I can tell you from working outside most of the week, it has been a mixture of the two. I'm going to paint over the strap for the minute, and then what I might do is come back later on and just paint that. Now, as you can see, I'm not keeping very good care of the brush here. Not entirely sure of the colour either, but we'll see. What I might do is put a bit of khaki over the top of that, just to, I don't know if it's because I've put too much on the brush or what, but anyway, so yeah, I hope everyone else has had a good week. Let me know down in the comments. I mean, you can let me down if you like, but put down in the comments, let everyone know how your week's been. Sorry, I'm not quite sure that's the right colour, It's the one they said to use on the box, but does that not look a little bit too green? So, and plus the fact that the netting over the top wouldn't have been that green. Doesn't seem right to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try, I know it's still wet, try adding a bit of khaki over the top and just letting it mix in, because ultimately it's not meant to stand out that much. I mean, let me know down in the comments what I'm doing wrong here, but that doesn't, I don't know. We'll leave that one for the minute, see how it dries, and then go from there. So what we'll do whilst that's drying is we're going to get around and we're going to start doing all the metal bits and the flesh, and just start getting it looking less ropey. As I said in the previous video, if you've not watched the previous video, I'll put the link down in the description. Go and check it out and you can see my mistakes and why we're at this point with your man here with some war paint on his face. Yeah, and also let me know what I did horribly wrong in there. I'm still not convinced by this helmet, you know. I mean, that does, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so we're going to get on and we'll paint up the metal bits and the wood on the gun and the hands, and then we'll go from there. Okay, very quickly, before we move on to everything else, I think I put too much paint on there. That's what I did. I've got a dry brush here, and it's nothing fancy. It's just off Amazon, but we do obviously sell Artis Opus dry brushes. Again, I'm not the expert on dry brushing at all, but all I've done here is I've just gone over it and just taken some of that excess. God, I need to put my teeth in all the time. The excess paint off, and it's actually come up a lot better. So that's not a bad shout. I think what we might try and do, like I said, I'm no expert on dry brushing, but I'm going to give it a go, or my take on it, and then everyone else can rip me or tell me what I'm doing wrong. What we'll do is we'll try it on one of the other geezers, preferably this one here, I think. So I think what we're going to do, or what we're going to do, God, I wish someone else was doing it for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to put, I think, dry brush a tiny bit of green on, and then we'll dry brush a bit of khaki over the top. So get that excess paint off. So what I do is, let's move that over so you can see what I'm doing. So as far as I'm aware, you put a splodge of paint on your dry brush like that, and then you can use a bit of cardboard, a bit of paper towel, and what you want to do is get off as much of that paint as possible, and then all you're doing is just over the top like that. So basically you're basically just getting, well, there are varying degrees of it. You can use this for highlighting bits and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm no expert, but that's actually come up quite well, hasn't it? Rather than slodging a load of paint on like I did previously, we still got too much on there, you know. Honestly, you want to, with dry brushing, it's literally what it says on the tin, and even I don't do that. And so don't necessarily follow me for the dry brushing tips, but actually that doesn't look too bad now, does it? Kind of blends in a bit better. And actually, as you can see here, this one drying. Yeah. So what we'll do now is I'll try and wipe off the excess of that. Whilst I'm doing that, talking about yourselves, take a sip of tea, and whatever time this goes out, beer, wine, whatever your tipple is, and then we'll do the same with the khaki. So get all the excess off. Now we do also, sorry, shameless plug alert, we do sell these boards from Artis Opus as well. They are great for painting on, and you can use it also for dry brushing to get, as you can see, get all the excess off there. Look. So now, so I'm literally getting pretty much all of it off. And the beauty with this board is, as well, is you can just use it over and over again, especially once all that paint's dried. It's the idea of it. And then all I'm going to do is very lightly brush over, rather than being heavy-handed. I don't know if you can see that. Try and get. Sorry for pushing the light in the way. I've got several lights and a very old lamp. And it's just, I'm just very lightly, hopefully just hitting those little lumps, little ridges, and just adding that bit of colour. It's very hard to see on camera, I do admit that, and I do apologise, Because I'm not a YouTuber, I don't have any fancy filming equipment. However, if you'd like to help me get some fancy equipment, you're more than welcome to buy me a coffee or go to the shop and purchase stuff. Sorry, very shameless plug, I know, but I am a shop at the end of the day, so I have to do some. But yeah, so this is being filmed on my phone. I'm not going to start an argument about which phones are better, so I won't tell you what I've got, because I know that people are in lots of different camps for that. So I hope you can kind of see the change in colour there. That's actually worked out quite well, I think. I know, sorry, you probably can't see that on the video, and I do apologise. But yeah, that's actually a lot better than using the brush. But at the end of the day, if you're like me and just starting out painting Bolt Action and you don't have the brushes, then we've started doing paint bundles that come with the very basic colours you need, plus 2 brushes, which are the brushes sorry, I do apologise, without checking, I believe they are the brushes that I've been using today. So it's not the end of the world, just take your time with it, and yeah, just take your time with it really, and don't put as much paint on as I did initially, and you'll be fine. Worst case scenario, if you do put too much paint on, you can always dab a bit of paper towel over it just to take that excess paint off. Don't wipe it, just dab it. And that will work perfectly fine. Now, like I said, if you do want to get dry brushes, yes, we do sell them. But if you're unsure of whether you want to paint miniatures or not, instead of spending a bit of money, Amazon is probably your best place to go for cheap brushes. Because there's no point, personally, like the only reason I bought brushes, I actually bought my brushes before I had the store. The only reason I bought the brushes was because I was trying to become a paint expert in painting my Warhammer, which, yeah, I definitely failed at. But there we go. So what I'm going to do now is we'll quickly do the last man, and I'll do that dry brushing technique over this geezer here, and see how that turns out. Although that has darkened up a lot, hasn't it? Doesn't actually look too bad now. I don't know, I think it's just me. But we'll see. Okay, I am gonna fast forward the painting this geezer, but what I'll do is I'll do what I've done so far, but this geezer also has some strips of, well, anything really, strips of material basically that he's put through the webbing that guy's got there, and that's basically an early form of camouflage netting, effectively. I mean, they still do it, well, I don't know what the British Army still do today, but I know in my time we did the exact same. Basically all it does is it just breaks up the shape of the head and the helmet, because the Germans knew what shape helmet we had, so it was very obvious when a British soldier poked their head up in a wood or a shrub line or in a ditch. You knew that was a person. The reason they've done this is so that at distance, I'm not talking like 10, it's not going to work 10 metres away. You're going to see that it's a geezer standing with a tin hat on and some weird material in his helmet. But from, 100 metres, 150 to 200 metres, that is going to break up, especially in lower light and stuff like that. It is going to break up the shape of the head if he's poking his head up in between a bush or something like that. So that's why he's got that on there. But because it wasn't a requirement, not everyone has it. But the webbing there is just to actually just to take the shine off the helmet, the metal helmet. So, which that also reduces the Germans' ability to see them as well, because the sun isn't necessarily bouncing off their helmet. But yeah, anyway, let's crack on. I'll quickly do the same that we've done so far on him, and then I'll slow it back down and we'll do the strips of material on his helmet together. Okay, so there we go. We've managed to, I've done the dry brushing again on there, and actually now they've dried, I wasn't really sure about the colour, but now they've dried, they don't look too bad. Again, the camera on here hasn't really picked it up enough, but there is I have brushed over a little bit of khaki as well. But what we could do, I guess, is once we've done the little bits of tape on there, or do we start with the dry brushing? Maybe we'll start with the dry brushing. I don't need the thing for that. We'll just go over again, see if it shows up a bit better on the camera, and then go from there. So, sorry, just need to find the. It's typical whenever you want to film something. Where did I put that? Yeah, typical. Whenever you want to film something, you end up losing what you were using. God, this is annoying, isn't it? Anyone would think I'm not professional. 2 seconds. Right, I got it. I found it. You probably won't be able to tell, but I had a bit of a break just to let a few bits dry, and I was getting hungry. And also, to be honest, I had to go and do some baby duties as well. Right, so we'll do the dry brushing technique again, get all the excess off, and I'm going to try and really get the majority of that off there. Now, I know if you're starting out for the first time, again, I do understand you're not necessarily going to be able to do it. And that's fine. You know, at the end of the day, if you are just starting out, especially painting minis, you know, the idea really is just to get a feel for it, rather than being a professional painter straight away. Yeah, no, I see that. I think that looks a lot better actually. Again, it's not really showing up on the camera. I'm just trying to get the edge there because I noticed the bottom of the helmet is looking a bit black, but that's fine. What we could do really is we could go around the bottom of the helmet. In fact, we'll do that now, shall we? Go around with the bottom of the helmet. If you get your fine toothbrush, blimey, God, I'm having one of them days today. Get your fine paintbrush. I mean, you're more than welcome to use a toothbrush. Got a bit more paint on there, I think. You are obviously more than welcome to use a toothbrush. I guess you could use one. Sorry, I've got a paintbrush in my mouth. You could use a toothbrush for dry brushing, really. I mean, you basically just want a bristly brush that you can use. It doesn't have to be well, I don't know. I would say it doesn't have to be a paintbrush, but I've never tried. So let's have a little look. Which one we got on that one? Right, so let's have a little look. Let's get the underside of there done. Again, this doesn't really matter either, personally. The reason I'm doing it is just because I've seen it, but ultimately, unless you're going for a painting competition and people are picking up your models and stuff, you're not really going to see it. Again, it's all personal choice. The whole thing about the painting is it is all personal choice. I think I said before, God, my memory's terrible. I said before, you know, look, you're a little bit limited on the historical miniatures for painting, whatever you like, but ultimately you can. You know, if you're just playing with your mates and stuff, it kind of doesn't matter, does it? But anyway, right, let's get on with him, shall we? Let's concentrate on him. Right, so what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to use a dry brush, go over the tiny bit of khaki just to get that the look I'm kind of after, really. And I'm just lightly, it may not look it on camera, but I am literally just lightly, well, as lightly as I possibly can. Probably any professional painter watching this will be like I'm a bull in a china shop, but just to get some of those raised edges. And it doesn't matter that you'll get in the, you know, when you're painting bits like this, if you can come up with a bit of a plan before, what you can do is and a bit like the rest of the body, obviously I wanted to get the main bulk of the colour in. Yes, I know I did it wrong, but with the wrong colour initially, but I just want to, you know, if you get the bulk of the colour on that you want underneath, and then do the detaily bits after, you know, you're not having to repaint as much, or, you know, touch stuff up if you want to. So that's the idea. So that's actually come out a bit better on here. For some reason it's shown a bit better on the camera, this one, which I'm quite pleased about, because it means you guys get to see it. So you can sort of, it's definitely coming along. So what we're going to do, wash that one off, get the paint out of there. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to paint the little bits of tufts or bits of material. Now, obviously they're going to be a greeny colour. In my normal collection, I've got various green colours, and I know they're not going to be the right one. I know that. When I say in my collection, I mean, you know, the paints I bought previous to owning a store. Because as I said before, I do sell paints, obviously, and we stock them, but, you know, they're for the customers. Oh no! Okay, that one's blocked. Typical. Shows I look after all my paints, doesn't it? Right, so what we'll do is, I've got an olive brown here. I've got an olive brown. Let's use the olive brown, shall we? And then let's try the tan earth colour. Again, I know I don't sell Vallejo, but they're Army Painter. There are plenty of colours that match. Oh no, that one's blocked as well. Typical. What is that one? I've never used that one. What is that one? Let's try that again, hang on. Oh, use something sharp down there, I think. Yeah, I know I don't sell Vallejo, and I say at the moment, not as a wink and a nod, but we are working on it. Vallejo do great paints. Typical. They obviously do fantastic paints, and I really like them. I do like Army Painter as well, hence why we stock them. But we are working on Vallejo, I promise. Oh, that's a bit better. Bit of a lump come out there, but that's fine. We are working on Vallejo, and we are in semi-talks with them / a British supplier that can supply us with Vallejo, which is even better, because for you guys, as much as I don't mind dealing with Europe and stuff, it can be, as I'm sure you're all aware, we had this little thing called Brexit, and I know, very controversial. We're not political on this channel. But it can be a bit of a nightmare to get stuff in. So if we can find a supplier in the UK, even better. So yeah, I will keep you updated on that. Like I said, we are working on it, I promise. I know a lot of you out there like Vallejo, and so do we. But for now, Army Painter is what we stock, same as Tooth and Coats. Both very, very good paints. There's a big range on both, and we do also stock some of the AK Interactive, hopefully building on that as well. So, but anyway, sorry, back to painting. Right, so what we're going to do is this doesn't need to be accurate. Is that, no, I probably said that wrong. It's almost like, well, I suppose if you've never painted before, but camo isn't meant to be uniformed, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to paint them all of the tan earth colour, okay? And then, oh, blimey, I think we've actually got a bit of thunder, finally. There goes me checking sheet this afternoon. Yeah, I'm going to paint all the little strips of tan earth colour, and then what I'm going to do is I'm then going to use the olive green and just do little patches, because as I said, it's not meant to be uniformed, so it kind of doesn't matter. So there's matey boy there. Again, the lighting, I do apologise, I don't know if that's any better. You can kind of see it there. So like I said, it's not meant to be uniformed, and it's not meant to be perfect, because they're just strips of material. I hope you guys can see that. It's hard. I can slightly look through the screen, but again, when you put the video out, I'm not going to know, so I apologise in advance. So I know that hasn't dried yet, and I know you should probably let it dry, but we haven't actually put a lot of paint on, and acrylic paint does dry incredibly quickly. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put a bit of the olive green on. Now I've just realised as well, I've probably added paints, but then I do apologise from the first video. Again, point it out down in the comments, and I apologise already. I don't know if these are the right colours, you know. Just not sure. I don't know. Maybe we'll let him dry for a bit, shall we? And then crack on with the other bits for the others. So, right, let's let him dry. Let's come back to him, because I almost made that mistake with the helmets, didn't I? Yeah. I'm just not sure. Okay, anyway. Right, let's wash the brush off. Going to start with next. Should we start with a flesh colour, shall we? Get the face painted, and then yeah, let's start with the flesh colour. I know I had a flesh around here somewhere. Flesh wash. Bloody hope so. Oh, this is going so wrong. Right, that doesn't look very fleshy, does it? Does it need a bit more shake? I don't know. I should really get better at painting. If there's any professional painters watching and would like to walk me through how to paint stuff properly, I am all ears. Honestly, I think I said in the previous video, painting for me isn't the most important thing. Painting for me is, I want to basically just play the game. I want to get the figures painted as quick as possible, which I haven't done, as you can see. But I prefer to play the game rather than painting for, you know, competitions, that sort of stuff. So let's give this a go. I'm just going to put a tiny bit on my brush. Oh, that's probably far too much to get the excess off there. And And now what we want to do is just gently paint it on us. Oh, I don't know. That looks like a bloody jaundice. That looks far too yellow for me. I don't know about you. I don't know. It does look like a bit of jaundice on there. I apologise for that jaundice. Oh, that just looks, I don't know. That does not look right. Now this could be my paint consistency. Yes, it's such a thing. For all you first time painters out there, and I definitely don't get it right. I don't know. Again, I think this is going to be another let it dry and see. I think I'm not convinced by this flesh tone. I'll show you which one I'm using. Medium flesh tone. Just checking the bit of paper that comes with it. Ah, typical. There is no flesh tone on there. Wow. Okay. You get a little sheet in the box with like a rough painting guide. It doesn't talk you all the way through it. Oh, there's no paint on there. It doesn't talk you all the way through it, but it gives you a rough guide of the paints that you need, and there's no flesh tone on there. How frustrating. So what do I normally use? I say normally in the past. Excuse me, it's a bit dusty. I haven't used it for a while. This is Citadel, if you haven't heard of it before. This is what I've used on my Cadians. And it's worked really well, but because I cannot stock Citadel, unfortunately. Games Workshop insist on a bricks and mortar store, as in it can't just be online, and because we are currently online only, Citadel, Warhammer, unfortunately we just can't stock even the paints, which is a shame because that is a great colour. I've used it loads of times before, ever since I was a kid really. It's not much changed, and so it's really frustrating because I know Warhammer is so popular. It is really annoying, but as I said, I am really enjoying this bolt action. Oh god, that's terrible. That's fine, we can go over that bit later. I'm just trying to get the gap between the back of the head. There we go, better angle there, look. I've sloshed it on there, but that's fine. Again, this isn't a painting tutorial, so you're just following me paint very badly, which is fine because now you can watch my mistakes and not do them, hopefully. I mean, I know we're British, but that's very pale, isn't it? I wonder if, because we're going to put a flesh tone sort of wash on in a bit. Again, God, I've got such a terrible memory. I can't remember whether I put it in the first video. No, I didn't. No, I'm just going to use the strong tone, I think. We'll strong tone everything and see how that turns out. There are obviously flesh tones that you can put on, and I believe I've got some. But no, sorry, let me... Oh, I've got a 2 thin coats one there, look. I'm really hoping I put that in the first video. I do apologise if I'm adding paints and stuff. I should be more conjoined... I should be able to remember better what I filmed in the first one. I'll be honest, I don't like watching myself. I'm surprised you guys watch, because I cannot watch myself. For me, it's slightly embarrassing. Not because I get things wrong, just because I don't know about you, but I don't like listening to the sound of my own voice. Again, I appreciate the support. I really do. I'm just surprised you lot can sit through it. So there we go. Right, that's one geezer painted. Obviously made a few mistakes there on the lapel there, on the collar, sorry, and a bit on the back of the helmet. But that's fine. So let's do his hands very quickly, and then what I'll do is I will fast forward you through the other two, and then we'll come back. Oh God, I need to be doing my brush. I'll come back to doing the top of that geezer's helmet with the strips of material. I'm trying not to look at it for the minute and just let it do its thing. So yeah, right. So he is holding a grenade. So try and be careful. That's the other thing. I didn't even think about that. I suppose if you're just starting out, like using some of the paint bundles, you just paint them with whatever colours you've got. Again, people aren't really going to mind. Not in this hobby. I know Games Workshop gets very funny about you painting their stuff, but I know a lot of people just want to, in Bolt Action and historicals especially. Yes, it does matter to a point, but a lot of the time it doesn't. And I really wouldn't worry, especially if you do start to improve on your painting. Don't improve like I have, and not improve at all. But if you do, if people can see you're actually putting effort in, and especially if it's your first time, I mean, Christ, if people can't give you a bit of leeway, then you're playing against the wrong people. Oh, let's look at that. So I can't see his fingers. I think they're there. There we go. There's the edges. God, that was a bit of guesswork, wasn't it? Oh my God. I'm sorry I'm sort of over this side as well. It's the way the camera's set up. It's very difficult when you're not a good painter anyway. I can't paint through my phone screen. That's just, for me, that's just impossible. And I know I'm a bad painter, but I still need to focus on my bad painting. That's okay. The more that dries on his face, the more that's not looking too bad. I probably will have to have another coat on that though. But that's fine. That's not the end of the world. Apologies if you see my hands shaking. They do. Comes with age, that. Well, for some people anyway. But there we go. Right, he isn't looking too bad. Let's just do the edges of the fingers there, shall we? I'm actually a little bit surprised at myself. That's not actually that bad. Okay. Yeah, that's actually worked out quite well, that flesh tone. Once it's, again, I'm rushing stuff. That's why I'm like, oh no, wrong colour. But actually, that's not a bad colour. That isn't a bad colour, actually. Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's whiz you through the next couple of ones, and then we'll go from there. there we go. Sped it all up for you, and then I just thought I'd show you me painting his hands very, very quickly. I did also just have a quick look at what I said I was going to use. The flesh tone wasn't in there, so we're just going to use the strong tone. Okay, I would normally use this flesh tone, but that's fine. We'll strong tone it because that's what we had. Brilliant. Oh, I think I might have gone over a bit there, but that's fine. That'll work out okay. No one's going to see it. Just finish off his hand there. So yeah, there we go. Pretty happy with those actually. I was as you know, I was a little bit sceptical about this colour for the flesh, but it's actually, I'll show you the others in a minute once I've finished mucking this one up. Yeah, it's not actually come up that bad, look. They do need a couple of coats, I think, but I think we're pretty much there. Yeah, you see there, look, and I've put another coat on that. It's actually turned out alright, I think. Now, if you guys are expecting me to do eyes, you can all do one. I am not making mine have googly eyes. I don't tend to paint eyes and stuff. It's not something I do. I will be painting Matey's cigarette there, but that is as far as I'm going. All right, I'm not doing bloody eyes. It's just, honestly, if they've got goggles on, I'll obviously do the goggles because that is far easier than doing eyes. Whenever I've attempted doing eyes in the past, they've always gone cross-eyed or very splodgy, and they look like something like they've been taking some substances and not just sniffing glue. So we'll just quickly go over these very quickly. Again, I'm going to speed it up for you, and then we can then crack on with other little bits and bobs like the weapons. I feel we may end up having to do a part 3 on this, just because it is just taking too much time. And also, I think the thing is, I don't want to skip bits, but I think this isn't a painting tutorial, so I guess let me know down in the comments. Let me know down in the comments whether we should skip a few bits and get on with the basing. There's not that much left. It's just weapons, really, and a bit of flesh. I don't know. No, maybe not. Let's just crack on, shall we? I will edit down the videos, but I will speed the rest of this up because you don't need to watch me repainting flesh again. Okay, there we go. Right, so I've gone back over all the flesh. It's now time to do everything else. I am conscious this video is running over, so I do apologise, guys, that the video is so long. I hope you don't mind too much. It's just so we can get stuff done. Now, for the minute, I think that doesn't look too bad on the strips of material. I think we're just going to crack on for the minute, okay? And go from there. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start off with the rifle. I'm going to start off with the brown. Now, I did again have a look through what paints I showed you we were going to be using. I forgot a brown. I'm going to use this brown. It is one we sell. Okay. Tooth and coats are great colours. Now I know this isn't the perfect colour, but ultimately, to be honest, I just want to get these finished now and get playing really. So we'll use this one. Already squirted it out into the wet palette. It is going to come up slightly lighter, I'd imagine. So let's give this a go. I hope you guys are alright following along or watching along, whatever you're doing. I do appreciate these are some very long videos, and it's not what I ever intended doing, if I'm honest with you. I've had some very good comments off the last video, and I do really appreciate that. So thank you very much. But yeah, I hope it's not too bad. I know this is probably something, if you don't mind my voice, something you could listen to in the background if you're doing something else, I guess. I suppose that's more of the idea with these longer videos. But just, yeah, keep me updated with what you prefer and stuff like that. Just on the rifle here, I know it's coming out a bit of a purpley colour, purpley brown, but that's fine. We might be able to rectify that a bit later on, but for now I think we'll crack on. Doesn't actually look that bad. It's not going to be historically accurate. The colour it actually says to use on the rifle it's not one we stock, weirdly. It's Panzer Aces. I think it's an army painter. They do kind of like World War II bundles effectively. Not the new ones. The new ones will be slightly different and they'll have a different colour in there. I can't remember again off the top of my head what they use. But it's saying a new wood, which is like it comes up on the thing like a reddy colour, but it's not something I've got to hand. So we're going to go with this one. It's actually drying quite nicely actually. It's quite a purpley colour going on. It's actually drying quite nicely. Now I'm leaving some bits black because there is some metal on the rifle that we need to address a bit later on. Hopefully not too later on for you guys, otherwise I think everyone's going to get bored. Well, I hope not. But yeah, always appreciate your feedback, guys. Even if you don't sit through the whole video, always appreciate the feedback. Okay, so that's him done. We're now going to go on to the others. Sorry, too much to drink, I think. So what I'm going to do is we'll do the Bren. There's going to be a lot more metal on here. So the one I'm going to use is the Army Painter Gunmetal. Okay. I will speed it up so you're not sat here through all of it, but just get an idea of what we're doing. Yeah. Okay, so we've done all the silver that we needed to do. I've also done the bits on the back, the bayonet at the end, and also the working parts on the rifle there. What I realised is with the Sten guy, the Sten is actually black. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to touch up any mistakes, i.e. any bits I've got over when doing other bits. Okay, so that's me all done with all the silvery bits, all the metal, sorry. I haven't done the belt buckle there, it's probably not accurately right, but there we go. And I've done all the bayonet and the working parts on there, look. So next we're going to move on to the Sten. I did do the Bren, as you know, but what I've realised, or what I say realised, what I quickly researched, because I wasn't quite sure, but the Bren and the Sten are actually black. Now obviously I know the strap there isn't, and that's fine. I'll do that probably off camera when I do everything else. But so all I'm going to do here with the Sten is I'm just going to touch up where I made my mistakes. Sorry, camera focus there. So I don't know if you can see that on top of where the iron sight is, there's a bit of skin tone. So all I'm going to do is just go around on the Sten, touching up, because we need to do the boots anyway. So I thought, well, it's a good time to get the black in. So I'm doing the end there, look. I mean, I know obviously the mistakes do give it a weathered look, and you can do that. You can basically take your painting as far or as less as you want to, really. Now I know the strap there is going to be a different colour as well, but that's fine. I can go over that a bit later on. So there we go. So whilst I've got the black in hand, let's go around and do the boots, shall we? I don't have to do too much of the boots, purely because I undercoated. Now I know that I do need to do the putties, which are basically the bit of material that you can't quite see it here, but it's a bit of material here, and all it does is it neatens up the trousers. It gives you that effect around the bottom of the trouser there, where it's almost like, I would say it's almost like jogging bottoms effectively. So we will do them. I'm probably going to do them in the probably in that Russian green colour, I'd imagine. So yeah, so I'm going to quickly crack on and do all the boots, probably off camera now, because you don't need to see me doing the boots, and then we'll quickly come back, do the putties, and then, God, do you know what? I think we're there. I genuinely think blimey, I think we're actually there. So, and then we'll do a bit of basing, if that's okay with everyone. And then that is, well, obviously I haven't painted all of them, but then the next video will be hopefully playing a game. Okay, so let's get on with these putties, and then let's tidy up the straps on the rifles. I know this isn't probably the best colour to use, but I don't want to keep adding colours to the list I started with. So actually, once it dries, it's actually not a bad colour. So yeah, I hope everyone's had a good weekend. Again, I do apologise, this is a bit of a long video. I've probably apologised several times, and you're probably bored of me saying it, but I really would like feedback on the longer videos. I know people do longer videos, and that's fine, but I don't know if this is particularly interesting. I don't know, especially as it's not an actual painting tutorial. It's watching someone paint very badly and not look after his brushes particularly well. Right, so what I'm going to quickly do is we'll wash. Actually, they don't look too bad, do they? What I'm going to quickly do, wash my brush, do his strap, do the other two off camera. Don't worry, there isn't any trickery. If you've got this far by now, you know I'm not the best painter going ever. So if we put a bit khaki on there, don't need too much. Now this one's a bit tricky because of the position of it. It should be fine. What we'll do is once I've got them done and they're dry, we'll quickly put the wash on. And then go from there. That's not my best painting look, but that is tricky, isn't it? What I would say on bits like that is really do take your time. Because God, that isn't looking particularly good, is it? Even I don't think that looks good. I don't know whether adding more paint is going to help it particularly. Okay, well he needs touching up, I think. But you can kind of get where I'm going with it. So yeah, well, let me paint the others off camera and I'll come back to you. Okay, all done. So I say all done. I've done everything I said I was going to do. I've done the putties and I've just tidied up the boots, and then I realised the backpack strap. So what I've done is I've just used the brown that we used for the rifle, and then the last little bit for this guy is his poncho or whatever he's got stuffed in there. You never know with the infantry. I'm just going to use the same colour as that I've done the putties and the helmet, basically just to give it a bit of distinction, because I mean you can almost paint it whatever colour you want. They would have, I'd imagine, as the campaigns went on, they would have picked bits up, or I don't know, I don't think they would have bought stuff, but there you go. Like I said, it's not perfect. The idea is not to be perfect. As I keep saying, this isn't a painting tutorial. It's literally, I want to get them done as quick as possible. So very basic. Now, one thing I have forgotten to mention, there are these things called speed paints. They do speed up the process. Okay, so if you're really not that fussed on detail, get some speed paints. They can be really good and really useful. But yeah, that's not looking too bad. Again, I know the light isn't particularly good. We've lost, I don't know if you haven't heard anything yet. I can't, you might have heard a couple of rumbles, but we've got thunder over at the moment and I don't have a whole lighting set up. So, last thing I've just remembered is his cigarette. So, just going to use a bit of white. If you heard that, that's not me being weird, that's me shaking the paint. I've put far too much in there, but never mind. And then we're going to just do his cigarette. Literally tiniest bit of paint. I know people are going to say, but you could have done that for his eyes. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but this is sticking out from his face. So there we go. That will do. Actually, that doesn't look too bad on camera. I'm glad that's all you guys can see. But yeah, okay. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to let this one dry. We'll get the big brush back and we'll go over with the strong tone wash. And basically all that does is just goes in all the recesses and just adds a bit of shading. Yeah, that's all it does. It's not, you don't have to do it, but it just adds a bit of detail without having to do very much. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, and we're back with the shading. Now, before I start, before anyone gets too disappointed, I am going to cut this video a bit short. We're going to leave the basing for a separate video, but I promise that will not be as long as this. It's not going to take as long, it's just I feel we're going well over time here. And I know the basing isn't going to take that long, but I've realised I haven't set it up, so I do apologise. Right, so let's do the shading on this guy, show you guys how it's done, and then, well, how I do it anyway. It's probably not how it's done, and then we'll go from there. So basically, you're literally just painting it over everything. It's as simple as that, guys and girls. You want to be quite liberal with it. Put as much or as little on as possible. If you feel like you've put too much on, then you can literally, there we go over the face there, look. There are different shades, obviously, different tones, but we're just using this one for now. And literally just washing it over everywhere. Hence why it's called a wash. And all it is just giving the colours we've put on a slightly different tone, really, and a slightly more realistic feel. As you can see there, it's filling into those, it's going into those voids and basically creating shading for you. Without you having to know too many technical bits and bobs. And I think they're great. I think they're great for any painter, really. And it just adds that little bit to your miniature without too much. Now, I think, I don't know about you, I don't know if I've gone a bit too far with it. We'll see, we'll let him dry. Or do I take a bit off now? Actually, no, I think we'll leave him like that. I think I actually quite like that. It looks very shiny on camera, but that's actually neatened up quite well. It's given him a bit of dirt on his face, makes that a little bit realistic. Yeah. Now I know I haven't painted the hand grenade, but to be honest, that's a very minute detail. All I was going to use is the probably the, you could go the lighter green there if you can see that in shot. If not, I probably would have just used the green we've been using for the putties. And the bits on the helmet there, look. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I know it's a bit of a long one, and I do apologise. I've had to take various breaks through the video, not that you'll know it, because I will edit it like a pro. But there we go. I hope you've enjoyed my ramblings again. Please like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you for the next video. The next video, as I said, will be just on basing. We'll get the basing done, and depending on what the feedback's like, I can either do, please definitely let me know down in the comments for this one, I can either do a quick basing video just with the guys we've got finished, or if you don't mind waiting another week, I will try and get the rest of these finished, ready to go for a baiting. God, that sounds weird, doesn't it? A basing session. I promise it's nothing sexual. I promise it is just basing, and basically all basing is just smartening up the bases that the models sit on. I haven't decided what we're going to go for yet, but I think we're probably going to use a mix. potentially of our own basing mix to go on there, and then probably some gamers grass tufts, I'd imagine, possibly a plant or two. I haven't quite decided yet, but let me have a think about it. Also, like I said, let me know down in the comments what you'd like to see, whether it's a long form video or a slightly shorter one with just the models we've done today. That's it for this one. If you made it this far, then well done. Thanks for watching and keeping me company at the workbench. If you've enjoyed it, drop a like, leave a comment, or tell me what you're working on this weekend. Don't forget to subscribe for more painting, hobby chat and wargaming ramblings. If you want to support the channel or grab anything you saw today, check out Warlord Games. Links in the description. And if you want even more behind the scenes, or to fuel the hobby brew fund, you can find me on Buy Me a Coffee. Until next time.